I chose to focus on was Just Vision, an Israeli and Palestinian peace organization with offices in New York, Washington, D.C., and East Jerusalem. Just Vision is a group of human rights advocates, journalists, and filmmakers who have a goal of peace between the Palestinians and Israelis. They demonstrate to grassroots leaders that they can use films, digital media, and public education campaigns to undermine stereotypes. They create these films, graphic novels, and other projects to promote Israeli and Palestinian peace. The group has claimed that they are nonpartisan and religiously unaffiliated. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one based in religion, culture, and history. This direct conflict started with the creation of the Israeli state in 1948. The key issues include debate over mutual recognition of security, borders, and water rights, the control of Jerusalem, Israeli settlements, the Palestinian freedom of movement, and the Palestinian right of return. Israel has occupied the West Bank and the Gaza Strip for 53 years, which has led to several failed attempts at peace. This includes a two-state solution, which failed, as well as other proposed solutions. There is a lot of hatred and violence between the Israelis and Palestinians, as both groups want claims to the land and its resources. The main goal of Just Vision is to contribute to fostering peace and to end the occupation by rendering Palestinian and Israeli grassroots leaders more visible, valued, and influential in their efforts. This is achieved by Just Vision through films about people living through the conflict, a display of interviews with Palestinian and Israeli grassroots peace builders, by calling out biased NGOs, creating a Hebrew magazine to disrupt the mainstream conversation of the conflict, and a staff of both Israelis and Palestinians. The films created by Just Vision feature stories of Palestinians and Israelis engaged in nonviolent efforts to end the occupation and the conflict, and they have reached millions worldwide. The photos featured here are thumbnails for just 4 of the films that they have created. The films are available online for free and are also shown across the world at screenings that feature Q&As with the creators. This creates an open dialogue about the conflict and inspires others to use media to spread peaceful messages. The films have won awards such as the Peabody Award, the Warsaw Jewish Film Festival Award, and the Best Doc San Francisco International Film Festival Award. Here is a clip from the Just Vision film called Boudros.
نفتح مجال للجيش الإسرائيلي إنه يدخل لك في ساحة هي غير ساحتنا وفي معركة إحنا ما بنمتلك معدات. ועד הגישה שלו גם מאוד דמוקרטית. גם במובן האישי. לא להיות זה שתמיד מחליט את ההחלטות. לתת לאנשים להרגיש חלק במאבק.
Based on the award-winning film Boudros, the graphic novel tells the story of the unarmed struggle in the village through the eyes of 15-year-old Ilza Morar. It focuses on the pivotal role the women and girls of Boudros played in building and sustaining a nonviolent campaign that was ultimately able to unite unlikely allies across political lines and save the village's land and olive trees. Over 1,600 copies were distributed. It was viewed 6,000 times online, and the Northern West Bank Ministry of Education approved it as an educational material as it helps students, especially young girls, identify with the characters and express interest in nonviolent strategies. It also helps students tie together the experiences of the character with their own experiences. Here's a graphic created about the impact of Boudros in the media. After the film was released, there was more than double the amount of media coverage on the issue. There was a lot more nonviolent resistance, unity across divides, and women's leadership, compared to the amount of violence and riots, which was more prevalent back in 2003. How do these projects reach others? Well, Just Vision is partnered with Plus 972 magazine and Active Stills to create a Hebrew language news site dedicated to human rights, equality, and freedom of expression. Local call and conduct targeted, sustained public education campaigns around the films for Palestinian, Israeli, American, and broader international audiences. They also create comprehensive online resources for educators, public intellectuals, faith leaders, and activists, featuring dozens of Palestinian and Israeli grassroots leaders. Over the years, they've reached hundreds of thousands of people directly in over 400 cities through screenings, workshops, the news site, and panel discussions. Just Vision has not published any reports on what their overall efforts have done to spread peace. They've released individual reports of certain projects, such as Boudreaux's, but there is very little on what they have done overall. They have published view counts and how many people have been directly reached, as well as how much money they have gotten from certain organizations. They receive money from the Rockefeller Brothers Fund and from USAID to help fund their projects. Here's my individual assessment of Just Vision through the SWOT method. So some strengths that I found were that the films were displayed at large film festivals, which racks up the number of views, and more people seeing it creates more peace journalists. Stories told are relatable and cause an emotional reaction, which lead to more change in these communities. They're able to empower journalists outside the organization to create peaceful media works. This can lead to more change in Palestine and Israel, as well as in other communities. Some weaknesses that I found were that a couple organizations think that they are taking the Palestinian side, and they're not truly being unaffiliated as they claim to be on their website. There are no statistics to prove overall success, just individual projects. They can make small changes, but they need to be a larger organization in order to make prolonged change within the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Some opportunities that they have are to use these large amounts of funding from USAID and the Rockefeller Brothers to create bigger projects that will reach more people, both inside Palestine and Israel and outside. They can create more peace journalism and peace journalists by employing Palestinians and Israelis. And with the prevalence of streaming platforms in our community, they are able to share their documentaries on these platforms to reach larger audiences than they did before. And many of these streaming platforms allow people to watch the films for free. Some threats that they face is that many may not visit their website and see the media that they're producing, although they are on these streaming platforms. They may face a loss of funding, resulting in less production. They need numbers to prove their successes in order to gain this funding, and there may be restrictions from the press depending on where these are being shown. When it comes to media and peace-building theories that we have covered, Just Vision is shaped by many of them. Waltz's first image suggests that individual opinions shape larger outcomes in society. Just Vision does this through helping people on each side rehumanize the other and shape their own opinions of them. Through this, they are able to take down the biases of others and realize that the people on the other side of the conflict are also human. It also connects to ICT and state legitimacy. Journalists maintain a role of accountability and must make sure that the government's information is public so that citizens know what their country is doing. Just Vision allows for this information to be posted on their news website so that people on both sides can see what violence their own government is committing and hold them responsible for their actions. The use of visual and audio media is also important here, as it creates a way for both Palestinians and Israelis to empathize with characters who have similar stories to them and learn from these characters in their peace-building efforts. Seeing and hearing these actions being taken inspires many to do the same. Additionally, Israel claims to be a democracy, though there are often issues within the democracy and the elections that take place. Palestine has also claimed to be a democracy, though there is very rarely elections held. Democratic peace theory suggests that once you have a world of democracies, it is much less likely that there will be wars. Both places here claim to be democracies, though they are still constantly in war. Maybe this is because they are not fully democracies, but it does tie back to the theory. Here are my sources. Thank you for listening.